So I told you something that apparently a lot of people didn't want to hear. I was talking about how gardening won't save you, and if you've missed that video, I will link it for you to review, because that's what this conversation is about today. So that video surpassed over 7,000 views, so I think we're going to go into the next conversation. We're going to take it one step further. So if the grocery store actually disappeared tomorrow, what would you eat? Do you have it laid out? Do you have the plan? Do you know how you would approach that? We're gonna build our survival food system, and we're gonna go over the list in this video. So things that we could eat immediately would be our current garden harvest if we have anything growing. If you have stored food in your house, if you have eggs or you know somebody with eggs, if you're able to get local meat from the butcher, you know, that's not the grocery store. There's still ways to buy food outside of the grocery store. And if you know safe and wild foods, that is things you could grab that day. Next, let's talk about what's going to give us the calories. Potatoes, if you're able to eat them, are fantastic for calories. They're great for storage. We have our potato patch right here. We've been harvesting through the summer, and then we will do a big harvest to have some stored for the winter as soon as we see all the signs that the plant is ready. Dried beans are another really great source of calories. Once the beans have dried all the way, you're able to keep them on the shelf, so they also don't require any power. Now, to cook them, you can use an Instapot. That cooks them very fast. You can soak them the night before, cook them the next day. I mean, what did our ancestors do? I think they just lit a fire and boiled some water, right? And then there's the corn family, and I'm not talking sweet corn, I'm talking the grain corn that you can grind and turn into things, but what I'm actually growing here is something else. Here I am growing popcorn, and it is my best looking year ever, so it'll be fun to see how much popcorn we get. And then we could save some to replant. Maybe we'll grow enough for 2 years and we'll be able to skip next year. But this has been a really fun project this year. So still talking about calories, we also have the winter squash category. Winter squash is another one of those cure it out in the field, and it will store in the house all winter long. So butternut, butterbush, honey nut, cushaw. You tell me in the comments below, what are your winter squash varieties that you're familiar with? So having your grains and your staples, if you can purchase them locally, otherwise purchasing them in bulk. There's a couple different places that I can think of. If you want to hear more about that, leave a comment below and we'll do another video talking about ways to source our staples, our grains, our basic needs for cooking, your oil, your salt, things like that. So where does your fat come from? What are you actually growing in your garden that will provide fat for you? Let's see if we can find some examples. So when talking about fats, an example would be sunflower seeds or the pumpkin seeds or nuts. Do you have nut trees? We do have walnut trees, black walnut trees, and then we are trying to get a hazelnut tree or a bush established. The other thing to consider would be animal fats. You can go to your butcher and you can ask for fat trimmings from a cow, from a pig. You can heat it up, turn it into a liquid, put it in a container and put it in the freezer. And it is a fantastic source of fat to cook with, to make pie crust with. Anything you can imagine, pizza, bread. Fry up some eggs. Fish would be another source of fat if you live where that is plausible for you to go get. So what happens when the garden isn't actually producing, which happens often here in Minnesota? What are we really going to eat while we're waiting for that harvest? Well, this is where you have the conversation of, do you know how to preserve anything? We talked about how you can cure things in the field, out in the garden, and then store it on the shelf, like your potatoes, your onions, your garlic, your squash. That's a good winter meal, your dried beans. Then there's all the different ways you can process things. You have your canning, your freezing, all the different ways to keep your tomatoes useful in the winter. You can always grow celery and freeze it. You can always ferment the garden. So ferment your cucumbers into pickles, ferment your peppers into hot sauce. You can dry your peppers and powder them for a spice blend. Maybe you grow edible mushrooms, so not the ones you see here, and you're able to dry them or freeze them for the winter. Maybe you grow different types of fruits and you can make jams, or you can freeze them to make smoothies in the winter. And we cannot forget about seed saving. We're going to talk about that in a future video. I am fermenting some Egyptian walking onions, some carrots from the garden with some garlic from the garden. Then we have our cucumbers with dill and onions and garlic, black peppercorns and coriander seed. This is cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes with garlic, onion, and basil. This is green beans with dill, coriander, black peppercorns, onions, and garlic. And then this is kohlrabi and a little bit of carrot and onion. This is what we're fermenting. Here's what we grew for onions, garlic, potatoes. I also have a red potato. Dried beans from last year. I did put some rice in with it to help absorb any moisture just in case. I did not grow this kind this year, but they sure are pretty. There's also the green beans. People blanch and freeze them. People pickle them. You can ferment them like dilly pickles. And then once they're fermented, you just keep them in the fridge. So what are we going to do if something fails? Because that happens in the garden. So what happens when something fails? Your garden shouldn't have one backup. That's where we have the different layers. So if something goes wrong in the garden, you have your stored food. If your stored food runs low, maybe you can forage. Foraging might not be available. Well, then you have your community. You can barter. You can shop locally. No one person has everything, okay? So maybe resilience isn't about becoming completely self-sufficient, right? We still need to have that community. We still need to help each other out. We can't all grow all our own things, but what if we just tried to grow 10% of our own things? If every single one of us did that, think of the millions of food that we now have in our hands. Maybe it's about becoming less dependent on a single point of failure. We will have layers, right? We will be able to eat good, nutritious food. We're going to continue this series to keep talking about this. Make sure you do review the previous video, Gardening Won't Save You, if you haven't seen it yet. I'm going to link the survival gardening playlist for you, and remember to grow every day in every way, and I'll see you there.